Nothing says happy birthday or congratulations like a beautifully iced cake. With just a few steps, you can produce an iced cake with confidence. You will need the following equipment: a long serrated knife, a cake plate, simple syrup, a pastry brush, an angled palette knife, and icing. Let's ice a birthday cake, a beautiful 2-layer cake. Make sure your cake layers are completely cooled before you get started. Warm cake can crumble or melt your icing. Step 1. Trim the cake to make flat tops. If the cake layers have dome-shaped tops, you need to trim them to make the tops flat. Place a cooled cake layer on a sheet of grease-proof paper. This will make it easier to maneuver. Use a long serrated knife to trim the cake. Rest the palm of your free hand on the dome top. Hold the knife parallel to the top of the cake and lightly score the edge where you'll be making your cut. Use a gentle back and forth sawing motion. When you've made one cut, rotate the cake and make another cut. Cut and rotate until you've worked your way around the entire cake. One final back and forth cut should separate the dome top. You can put this aside to snack on later. Repeat with the other cake layer. If one of your layers look a little rough or crumbled, use that one as the bottom layer of your cake. Step 2. Get the cake ready to ice. Put the bottom layer of cake on your cake plate. Tuck in strips of grease-proof paper beneath the edges of the cake to keep the plate clean while you're icing. Lightly brush loose crumbs off the cake. Step 3. Brush on simple syrup. Here's a secret that adds flavour and moisture to your cake. Brush cake layers with simple syrup. To make the simple syrup, add 200 grams of sugar and 225 ml of water to a medium saucepan. Stir and bring to the boil to dissolve the sugar. You can flavour the simple syrup by adding citrus peel, mint leaves, or a splash of brandy. Let the syrup cool, then brush over the cake tops to add sweetness, moisture, and flavour. Step 4. Ice, layer, then ice again. Transfer a large dollop of icing onto the centre of your first layer. Spread it evenly to the sides. It doesn't have to be perfectly even because the top layer will flatten it out. Carefully place the top cake layer on top of the ice layer. Place it cut side down. Bend down to eye level to make sure that the layers are evenly aligned. Don't worry if icing squeezes out at the sides. You're going to use that later. Brush off loose crumbs off the top of the cake and brush the top with syrup. Step 5. Make the crumb coat. Next, you're going to spread a thin undercoat of icing that will keep the cake crumbs under control. Professionals call this a crumb coat. Put a small dollop of icing on top of the cake and smooth it out. Remember, this is a thin undercoat, so don't worry if you can see the cake through the icing. Next, spread a thin layer of icing around the sides of the cake. This is where you smooth out the icing that's squeezed out between the layers. Chill the cake in the fridge until the icing is firm to the touch. If you're in a hurry, pop it in the freezer. Step 6. Add the final coat of icing. When the icing feels firm, it's ready for the final coat. Put a big dollop of icing on top of the cake. Spread the icing over the top and then the sides of the cake. Rotate the cake plate as you work on the sides of the cake. This makes it easier to see all the sides. While you're applying this final layer of icing, you can use a gentle swirling motion with your spatula to create a classic fluffy look. You can also smooth it out if you're going to pipe on a personalized message. Here's a tip for getting a really smooth finish. Dip your palette knife in hot water, shake it off, then use it to smooth the icing. Put the finishing touches on your cake with edible flowers, fruit, or grated chocolate. When you've finished, carefully pull away the strips of greaseproof paper and wipe off any spills with a damp towel. Now get the candles ready and let the celebration begin. That's it.
Here's a recap.